Negative comments are part of modern life. They appear in meetings where voices overlap and judgments fall quickly. They appear at family dinners where careless remarks slip into conversation and leave a lasting mark. And most visibly, they appear on the internet, spreading across platforms, traveling at the speed of a click. A stranger online can type a single sentence and it reaches you instantly. A colleague at work can dismiss your contribution in front of others with one remark. A relative can use words that stay in your memory long after the conversation ends. In both digital spaces and face-to-face settings, the pattern repeats. A spark of anger rises, a defensive impulse takes hold, and a desire to strike back or justify yourself appears. The reaction feels natural. It feels almost automatic. The words strike, the response comes forward, and the cycle begins. At work, negative comments surface when ideas are challenged in meetings, when contributions are overlooked, and when small dismissals pile up over time. In hallways, in conversations with supervisors, in group discussions, remarks can land quickly and without warning. They leave behind tension that lingers even after the meeting ends. At home, negative comments slip into ordinary conversations. A raised voice in a disagreement, a careless sentence spoken in frustration, or a reminder of past mistakes, all become comments that leave wounds. Family dinners can carry unspoken judgments. Arguments can unfold in living rooms. Remarks can stay long after the moment has passed. Online, negative comments multiply. They come from strangers, from acquaintances, from anonymous accounts. A post can be met with insults within seconds. A video can carry criticism that never stops. Messages arrive without pause. Entire threads can form around a single word. The digital space magnifies everything, making each comment feel larger than it is. The effect of these comments is constant. A spark of anger rises the moment they appear, a defensive urge follows immediately, a desire to respond, to correct, to attack in return grows stronger. The cycle repeats, again and again, whether in digital interactions or in direct conversations. Meetings become arenas where comments echo in the mind. Family dinners become places where silence hides unspoken tension. Online platforms become spaces where insults travel endlessly. Negative comments continue to surface, shaping reactions and pressing on the mind. The question is not whether negative comments will come. They will come in workplaces, in homes, in friendships, in public spaces, and in digital spaces. The question is always what follows. The moment they arrive, the challenge appears. The choice stands open. Do we react with anger? Do we strike back with words? Do we defend, explain, justify? Do we allow the words to shape our state? Or do we remain calm? Do we stand without movement? Do we let the comment pass without power? The question remains the same in every setting, online or face-to-face. This is the problem that confronts everyone today. A careless remark at work, a cutting sentence at home, a harsh reply online. Each one arrives quickly. Each one demands a response. Each one presents the same challenge. Negative comments will not vanish. They will continue to appear in meetings, in families, in online platforms, in public conversations. They will arrive unexpectedly, sometimes from strangers, sometimes from those closest to us. And every time they arrive, the question repeats: what will we do when they come? Why do negative comments disturb us so deeply? The roots lie within ourselves, not in the words of others. Marcus Aurelius insists again and again, events are neutral. It is our judgment that turns them into injury. Understanding the roots of anger reveals why a single remark can feel so heavy. First, ego. We want recognition. We want our voice to be respected. When someone challenges that image, whether by mocking a post online or rejecting an idea in a meeting, Ego feels attacked. The ego whispers that our worth is measured by approval. A single comment feels like a verdict. This is why harsh words, even from strangers, feel so sharp. The insult does not harm our body, but it shakes the fragile image we build for ourselves. Second, expectation. We expect fairness, kindness, or at least basic courtesy. When someone speaks harshly, we feel shocked, as if the world has broken its agreement with us. But Marcus reminds us, people act according to their character, not our expectations. To expect constant kindness is to demand the impossible. Each time we hold that expectation, we prepare the ground for disappointment. Negative comments strike hardest when we secretly assume they would never come. Third, interpretation. Words have no power until we give them meaning. A negative comment is nothing but sound or text until we choose to interpret it as insult. Our judgment decides whether the words harm us or pass by unnoticed. Marcus is clear. It is not things themselves that trouble us, but the opinions we form about them. An insult online is no different from noise in the street. If we treat it as mere noise, it passes without weight. If we treat it as an attack, it pierces. The choice lies in interpretation. Fourth, insecurity. Comments hurt most when they strike at doubts we already carry. If we fear incompetence, a single remark about our ability pierces like a blade. If we secretly doubt our worth, a passing insult feels like confirmation. Anger rises not from the comment, but from our own hidden fear. This is why some words slide off easily while others cling for years. The wound is not in the words, it is in the weakness within us that receives them. Finally, habit. Society rewards outrage. Online platforms thrive on arguments, sharp replies, and emotional outbursts. Quick comebacks gain attention. Outrage spreads faster than reason. In daily life, people admire those who strike back instantly, mistaking reaction for strength. But this habit enslaves us. We are trained to react, not to reflect. The more we practice reaction, the less space we leave for reason. Taken together, these roots explain why both online insults and real-life remarks disturb us so much. The comment itself is nothing. Our mind supplies the weight. We lend authority to voices that should never rule us. By clinging to ego, by demanding fairness, by misinterpreting, by hiding insecurities, and by following habits of reaction, we give away sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius shows another way. He teaches that freedom does not depend on the words of others. Freedom depends on whether we let judgment run wild or keep it disciplined. He tells us, do not expect the impossible. Do not hand your peace to strangers. Do not let your fears write the meaning of every word you hear. The roots of anger lie in us, and so too does the cure. This is why negative comments, whether online or in daily life, need not disturb us. Their weight is borrowed from our judgment. Withdraw the judgment, and the words lose power. The roots of anger are exposed, and once exposed, they can be cut. If Marcus were here today, scrolling through comments or facing dismissive colleagues, his practice would remain clear. He would not be shaken by the flood of criticism. He would not let his state be decided by the words of others. Instead, he would apply the same principles he repeated to himself in his meditations, principles that remain unchanged in every age. He would first pause. Anger demands speed. Wisdom demands delay. By pausing even for a breath, Marcus would create space between insult and response. That space is freedom. In that pause, the comment loses its power to dictate his action. The world might demand an instant reply, but Marcus would resist that demand. A single moment of pause separates instinct from choice, and in that choice, reason is restored. Next, he would test the comment. If it were true, he would accept it as correction. A stranger online pointing out a real flaw is, in fact, a free teacher. To ignore such truth out of pride would be foolish. If false, he would dismiss it as empty wind, not worth his attention. Either way, anger would serve no purpose. Truth does not need anger, lies do not deserve it. The insult cannot alter reality. Marcus would keep his focus on what is within his power, his own judgment. He would remember impermanence. Every comment fades. The colleague who dismisses you will soon move on to other tasks. The online thread that feels overwhelming will vanish into obscurity. The stranger who typed the insult will die just like we will. To hold anger is to cling to smoke. Marcus constantly reminded himself that life is short, time is fragile, and reputation dissolves quickly. Why waste precious moments on words that will not outlast the day? He would refuse retaliation. To answer insult with insult is to let the other command your state. Marcus would see dignity preserved in calm. In the digital world, this means not feeding trolls. Every sharp reply fuels the cycle, and every cycle pulls you down. In real life, this means responding with measured words, or, when necessary, with silence that shows sovereignty. To refuse retaliation is not weakness, it is mastery. Retaliation enslaves you to the offender. Calmness keeps you free. Finally, he would choose compassion. He would remind himself, harsh comments often come from ignorance, pain, or insecurity in the other person. Instead of hating them, he would see their weakness. The colleague who belittles may act out of fear. The stranger online who insults may be carrying hidden suffering. Anger dissolves when we see the offender as human, struggling just like us. Compassion is not indulgence, it is clarity. It prevents us from giving away our peace to another's misery. Marcus would not retreat from life. He would not delete himself from the public square, nor hide from conversation. He would engage, but without being mastered by insult. He would participate fully, yet remain sovereign over his mind. This posture is possible for us too. The lesson is not about avoiding words. Negative comments will always come. The lesson is about refusing to be ruled by them. By pausing, by testing, by remembering impermanence, by refusing retaliation, and by choosing compassion, Marcus shows a pattern of freedom. His practice is not abstract philosophy, but a living discipline. It is guidance for meetings, for family disputes, for online debates, for every place where words strike. This posture of calm mastery is possible for us as well. The challenge is real, but the way forward is clear. If Marcus could keep his peace in the face of insult, so can we. His example is a call to discipline, to dignity, and to freedom. The Stoic framework is straightforward. Marcus Aurelius reduces it to a simple distinction: what is within our control and what is not. To live by this distinction is to live free. To forget it is to live in chains. What is within our control, our judgments, our choices, our actions, these belong to us. No one can take them unless we hand them over. What is outside our control, the words of others, their opinions, their insults, their approval or disapproval, these belong to them. To be disturbed by them is to enslave ourselves to what was never ours. Marcus warns, to be angry at what we cannot control is to surrender twice, once to the insult itself, and once to the judgment we add to it. Events are neutral, insults are neutral, praise is neutral. They are sounds, gestures, or lines of text. Our interpretation makes them heavy or light. We carry the weight we choose to carry. Applied to comments, whether online or offline, the principle becomes clear. Control your judgment. Do not label every sharp word as attack. If you decide it is nothing, then it becomes nothing. A comment on a screen is text, a remark in a meeting is sound. Only when you stamp it with meaning does it become injury. Marcus insists, it is not the thing itself, but the view you take of it that harms you. Control your desire. Do not crave praise. Do not fear disapproval. The hunger for recognition makes every negative word cut deeper. The fear of being seen poorly makes every insult feel fatal. But when desire is checked, words lose their hold. If you do not need their approval, their disapproval has no sting. Control your action, respond calmly, or not at all. To lash out is to lose command. To remain silent or to speak with clarity is to preserve sovereignty. The Stoic's strength is not in retreat, but in discipline. His action is chosen, not forced. He does not dance to the strings of another's anger. This is not passivity, it is disciplined engagement. The Stoic does not run from comments, he meets them with reason. He acts where he has power and releases what lies beyond it. He does not deny the existence of insult, but he denies its authority. Consider how this plays out in daily life. Online, a stranger leaves a harsh remark. Most react instantly, adding anger to anger. The Stoic sees text, pauses, and either corrects with dignity or ignores with calm. At work, a colleague dismisses your idea. Many rush to defend pride. The Stoic chooses clarity, reasserts the point if useful, or lets the remark pass if it does not serve. At home, a family member speaks sharply. The habit is to escalate. The Stoic pauses, remembers that words belong to the other, and answers in proportion, without handing away his state. Marcus knew that sovereignty of mind is the only freedom that cannot be stolen. By applying the framework judgment, desire, action, we remain sovereign in the storm. The insult arrives, but it does not penetrate. The praise arrives, but it does not intoxicate. Both pass like weather. What remains steady is the citadel within. This framework also exposes the illusion of control that fuels anger. We think we can control the words of others. We cannot. We think we can control their opinions. We cannot. We think we can control how they see us. We cannot. But we can control whether we surrender our peace to their words. That is enough. In the end, the Stoic framework is not a theory for contemplation, but a rule for survival in a noisy world. It says, keep what is yours, release what is not. Guard your judgment, restrain your desire, direct your action. Everything else belongs to others, and to let it rule you is to be their servant. The relevance is direct. In a world of endless comments, constant criticism, and daily provocations, this distinction is the line between slavery and freedom. Marcus Aurelius does not offer escape from words. He offers mastery within them. That mastery remains the core of Stoicism. From Marcus's reflections, 5 principles stand firm. These are not theories to decorate bookshelves. They are rules for daily life, practical tools to face negative comments and hold our minds steady. First principle, pause before responding. The delay disarms anger. Online, this means not replying instantly to a sharp remark. In life, it means breathing before speaking. That pause is not weakness, it is strength. The world demands quick reactions, but Marcus reminds us that stillness is power. One breath can save us from words we will regret. One pause can prevent us from being dragged into cycles of hostility. By pausing, we reclaim our state instead of letting another person command it. Second principle, test every comment. If a remark is true, treat it as guidance. Even if spoken harshly, truth is a mirror that shows us where to grow. Pride refuses correction, but humility accepts it. If a remark is false, treat it as nothing. Anger gives falsehood importance, while dismissal leaves it powerless. In both cases, anger is useless. Reality is not changed by comments. What harms us is not the insult itself, but our judgment of it. Marcus would remind us, the thing is not the problem, the opinion is. Third principle, preserve dignity through calm. To shout back online or at work may feel strong, but it is surrender. Retaliation hands over control to the one who provoked us. Calmness is sovereignty. At work, a measured response preserves respect. At home, restraint prevents wounds that cut deeper than the original insult. Online, silence or a brief reply shows more strength than 1,000 angry words. Marcus saw that dignity is not kept by volume, but by composure. Calmness is the mark of self-mastery. Fourth principle, remember impermanence. Comments fade quickly. What feels unbearable today will be forgotten tomorrow. The colleague who mocked you will move on. The online thread filled with insults will disappear into obscurity. The stranger who typed in rage will vanish into time, just as we will. To cling to anger is to hold smoke in our hands. Marcus reminded himself daily that life is short, time fragile, and reputation fleeting. To waste energy on comments that dissolve with time is to trade lasting peace for temporary noise. Fifth principle, choose compassion. See that harsh words often come from pain in others. A colleague who belittles may be insecure. A stranger online who mocks may be drowning in frustration. Marcus would see them not as enemies but as fellow humans trapped in weakness. Compassion does not mean we agree, but it means we refuse to add fire to fire. By meeting hostility with understanding, or sometimes with silence, we break the cycle. Anger multiplies anger, but compassion interrupts it. This choice shields us from being dragged down into the same bitterness that produced the insult. Together, these 5 principles form a discipline. Pause creates space. Testing words separates truth from emptiness. Calmness keeps dignity intact. Impermanence shows how little insults really matter. Compassion transforms hostility into clarity. Practiced together, they make us unshaken in both digital storms and face-to-face disputes. They are habits that turn reaction into reflection, and reflection into freedom. The value of these principles lies in their universality. Anyone can apply them. You do not need status to pause. You do not need wealth to test words. You do not need privilege to remain calm. You do not need a long life to remember impermanence. You do not need perfection to choose compassion. These are choices always within reach, in every conversation, in every conflict, in every comment. No situation is too small for them to matter, and no insult is too sharp to be softened by them. This is why Marcus Aurelius still speaks across centuries. His principles are not outdated. They apply in the boardroom when ideas are dismissed, at the dinner table when words grow sharp, and in the comment section when insults spread without pause. Negative comments will always appear, but with these 5 shields, they no longer rule us. Instead, they become reminders. Each insult is a chance to pause, to test, to stay calm, to recall impermanence, and to practice compassion. Each insult becomes training, a moment to strengthen the citadel within. How do these principles help today? Marcus Aurelius did not write for ancient courts only. His reflections echo in our offices, in our homes, and in the endless digital spaces where comments never stop. To live by his guidance is to carry discipline into every environment we face. At work, the principles reveal their strength. A meeting can quickly become a battlefield of egos. When dismissed or interrupted, the instinct is to fight for recognition, to raise the voice, to prove worth. But anger convinces no one. Calm response, grounded in clarity, builds respect that lasts longer than a loud retort. Leaders who remain composed under pressure earn trust. Colleagues notice restraint more than aggression. Marcus would say that credibility grows not from domination but from self-command. Calmness in the workplace shows that authority does not require shouting. It shows that leadership means directing with reason rather than reacting with rage. At home, the same principles protect what is most fragile: relationships. Family disputes can turn small sparks into lasting scars. A partner's angry words need not become our chains. By practicing restraint, we refuse to mirror hostility. Calmness does not deny pain, but prevents escalation. It keeps quarrels from hardening into bitterness. Marcus reminds us that every moment of anger surrendered is a moment of peace lost forever. By choosing calm at home, we guard not only our dignity, but also the bond with those closest to us. Restraint builds trust, and trust sustains love. Without it, homes collapse under the weight of constant reaction. Online, the relevance is undeniable. Negative comments can spread endlessly, multiplying faster than reflection. A single remark can pull hours of attention into arguments that solve nothing. Engaging each one wastes life. Stoicism teaches us to engage only where virtue requires and to ignore the rest. The internet rewards outrage, but Marcus would remind us that chasing outrage is chasing chains. The choice to ignore insults is not weakness, it is mastery. To refuse to feed the cycle is to keep our time, our energy, and our peace. Digital noise will never end, but discipline allows us to remain untouched in its storm. This discipline is exactly what modern society lacks. Outrage dominates online platforms. Sharp words spread faster than thoughtful ones. Quick tempers poison workplaces and homes. Patience is mocked. Silence is misunderstood. And calmness is dismissed as weakness. But Marcus shows that calmness is the highest strength, because it is the only state that cannot be forced by others. Stoicism offers balance, freedom not by controlling others, but by mastering ourselves. In a culture that pushes constant reaction, discipline becomes rebellion. In a world that prizes volume, composure becomes power. The truth is simple. We cannot prevent dismissals at work. We cannot prevent arguments at home. We cannot prevent insults online. But we can prevent ourselves from becoming slaves to them. Marcus would insist that peace is not found in silence from others, but in discipline within ourselves. The pause before reacting, the test of every word, the calm preservation of dignity, the remembrance of impermanence, and the choice of compassion, these practices turn daily conflict into daily training. Every harsh remark becomes an exercise. Every insult becomes a lesson. Every restraint becomes proof of freedom. This is why Stoicism is the right path today. It cuts through the culture of reaction. It teaches us that freedom is not comfort, not constant approval, not protection from criticism. Freedom is the power to stand calm while others lose control. Freedom is the ability to choose clarity over noise. Freedom is the discipline to engage where virtue demands and to release what does not belong to us. These lessons do not age because human tempers do not change. Technology multiplies insults, but Stoic practice multiplies peace. In the middle of noise, Stoicism allows us to be grounded. In the flood of comments, it allows us to be selective. In the rush of arguments, it allows us to stand still. Calmness is not withdrawal, but engagement with strength. Marcus Aurelius lived by this truth. Dignity comes from ruling the self. Today, the lesson is the same. We live calm, grounded, and free, not because the world is kind, but because our mind is steady. Anger at negative comments, online or in real life, promises strength but delivers weakness. It hands control to strangers and wastes the short time of our lives. Marcus Aurelius shows another way. Pause, test, remain calm, remember impermanence, and choose compassion. These 5 practices do not live only in books. They bring concrete results into modern life. The value of Stoicism is not in theory, but in what it changes in how we live each day. The first benefit of Stoic practice is dignity that cannot be stolen. When insulted, many lash out, and in doing so they let others decide their state. The Stoic holds back and remains calm. This restraint builds an image of strength that endures. At work, composure earns respect from colleagues. At home, it prevents small conflicts from growing into deep wounds. Online, it shows authority without needing to fight. Dignity is preserved not by loud defense, but by steady composure. The second benefit is peace of mind. Anger consumes energy, but calm saves it. Marcus reminds us that every moment spent in outrage is a moment lost to living. By pausing before reacting, we reclaim our inner balance. By testing comments, we see truth without fear and dismiss falsehood without struggle. Each time we stay calm, we protect peace. And with peace comes clarity, better judgment, and freedom from endless cycles of noise. The third benefit is stronger relationships. Families collapse when anger rules. Friendships weaken when pride refuses correction. Stoicism interrupts this cycle. Choosing calm prevents escalation. Remembering impermanence helps us let go of minor slights instead of holding grudges. Practicing compassion allows us to see loved ones not as enemies, but as humans bound by weakness. These choices protect bonds that might otherwise break. The Stoic household is not free of conflict, but it is free of chains that conflict often creates. The fourth benefit is efficient use of time and energy. Online platforms thrive on outrage. One comment can consume hours in pointless arguments. But Marcus would call that slavery to strangers. The Stoic ignores what does not deserve attention. This discipline keeps time for meaningful work, for family, for reflection. Life is short, and every insult answered in anger is a piece of life wasted. Living stoically means spending energy where virtue requires, not where provocation tempts. The fifth benefit is freedom itself. Freedom does not mean others are kind. It does not mean the world is fair. It means we are not ruled by external voices. The Stoic chooses his response, guards his judgment, and holds his peace. In doing so, he is free, even in the middle of noise. Marcus wrote that the mind becomes its own citadel. Today, that citadel is the shield against online insults, workplace dismissals, and family disputes. Freedom lies not in avoiding negative comments, but in refusing to be mastered by them. Together, these benefits show the practical value of Stoicism. You keep your dignity. You protect your peace. You save your relationships. You avoid wasting energy on strangers. And above all, you live free. These are not abstract promises. They are daily results, visible to anyone who practices. Each pause strengthens clarity. Each calm response builds respect. Each act of compassion prevents bitterness. Each remembrance of impermanence cuts through vanity. The effect is a life that is steadier, calmer, and stronger. This is Stoicism, not a retreat from life, but mastery within it. Not silence born of fear, but calm born of strength. Stoicism does not erase negative voices, but takes away their power. It does not remove challenges, but equips us to face them without losing ourselves. It shifts strength from outward reaction to inward command. That shift transforms how we work, how we love, how we live. If this reflection speaks to you, subscribe to Sophoria. Share in the comments. Where do negative comments most test you? Online or in your daily life? And how do you imagine Marcus would respond? Each answer is a step toward practice. Each practice is a step toward freedom. Join us on this journey to live with wisdom, dignity, and unbroken calm. Because Stoicism is not about the past. It is the freedom we can choose today.